Welcome back to the Big Law Business Report. In the studio with me is Mr. Ivo Konstantinov, First Secretary and Economic Council for the Republic of Bulgaria. Ivo, before we went to the break, you talked about you can bring American businesses 3 continents on a plate. What does that mean?
Oh, that means that most of the big Middle Eastern markets, unsaturated and high profit margin yielding, are 8 hours drive away from us,
Really?
Logistics-wise. That means that for the past 50 years we have done business with Russia and the former Soviet republics and all the stands in Central Asia. So we can be an American sales force for whatever American product or service is there. But we are technically and politically and for all purposes a European country, member of the European Union and part of the common market of Europe.
Right.
Having the multilingual labor force available and talent speaking apart from English, several other languages, and 3 million people who speak Turkish and Russian as well as second and third languages, we can practically internationalize any US operation from one single location.
Right. So now, Ivo, that's great. So I'm convinced. You're a very convincing person. So now I want to do business in Bulgaria. What's the tax rate like? And I've never done business in Europe before, and clearly now that I know where your country is, this probably sounds like a good idea. So what's the tax rates? What are the advantages? Why as an American business or investor, would I want to come to your country?
Thank you for asking. As an Eastern European post-communist country in transition, we wanted very much to strive to attract foreign businesses, American businesses especially, and we have created a very favorable environment for business. And read my lips, taxes in our country are just 10% flat. Corporate income and personal income tax, 10% flat.
That's it.
Corporate income tax, and that's it.
So my question is, then how does that compare to other countries in Europe? I mean, don't they have the same thing?
We are practically tax haven, except for the anonymity and all the bad reputation of other tax havens worldwide, because we are a normal rule of law, standard European economic environment, offering the lowest taxes in the entire region and in the European Union in general.
Right.
No one offers 10% like us, and that makes us very competitive. In addition to that, we don't tax at all for about 40% of the municipalities and counties in the country who have a statistical average of unemployment above the median for the country. So if you incorporate in a county which has an unemployment above the average, we completely exempt you from any corporate income tax for 2 years.
Wow. Now, one of the things I heard about in some of the other European countries, European Union countries, of course, you've already mentioned that Bulgaria is a part of the EU, that there have been situations where American companies were double taxed. Can you touch on that just a little bit?
That has been a very, very hot issue for a couple of big American economic interests and corporations in the European Union last year, which we have been following closely because we offer a solution. This is what happened. Actually, companies like Google, McDonald's, Starbucks, who had separate individual tax agreements with a couple of Western European governments, were retroactively taxed quite substantial amounts because the separate tax agreements with governments were non-compliant with European Union legislation. And that put those American corporations in a conundrum and of course cut their bottom line significantly.
No doubt.
In Bulgaria, American companies would not have this problem because you don't need a separate tax agreement with the government because we have the low taxes in the first place.
Wow, that's pretty good. You know, Ivo, as always, you know, when you and I get together and talk, we always have fascinating conversations, and unfortunately we don't have as much time, but Ivo, I'm going to invite you back to my show. As I always like to say, I'd like to ask you to come back, but I'm going to tell you to come back because we definitely need you. Ivo, thank you again for joining me in the studio this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor, Brian.
All right. So we'll be right back on the Big Law Business Report.